I just realized I haven't told y'all everything I know about the who, little girl from the middle school up the street from me who died recently after a bullying incident at school. I talked to lots of the other little girls that went to go to school there, and I listened while her name was Suzette. Suzette's uncle spoke to the police officer at the doors in the middle of that day when there was a protest. Tuxie was going around and just sharing peace with everyone. And they said that, well, I'll just tell you the story of how I ended up there. I walked Tuxie between 1 and 2 o'clock-ish most every day towards the park. And there are a bunch of people over there, and my friend Dana, who has the gift of theatricality. I mean, if it wasn't for people like Dana, we wouldn't have stuff like The Passion of the Christ. So you have to love her. But she is pouring tears in mascara. And I see her, and I just walk over to her, and I put my arms around her, and I tell her to pet Tuxie. And then I tell her, and then she's just going on, and I have no idea what she's talking about. I'd heard about it, but I'd just come from out of town, and I hadn't really got my head on straight, and hadn't really put it all together, that what they were there for was to rally and express their anger and their grief over what had happened to this little girl. Now, Dana, she was real hysterical when she said, "They found a little girl dead in the bathroom in a pool of blood." And I was like, you know, how, what, huh? What? And from the uncle and from the other little girls, and the very consistent story among the students is that what happened is there were some girls that had bullied her, that had pushed her in the bathroom, and it wasn't the first time they'd done that to somebody. It wasn't the only time it was ever reported to somebody. It's not like they didn't tell that this happened to Suzette. She was pushed in the bathroom and her head hit the tile. And she complained about that to her family, according to her uncle, and she complained about that to her friends, according to the little girls, and that they said that the response from the school district is that there was no crime committed, even though she did die 3 days later. Now, I don't know that I'm up on the news and if all the coroner's reports have come in and everything, but that response from the school district that there was just, didn't have anything to do with them really, and there wasn't a crime. That's what really hurt and frightened those little girls. Because I know as a teacher, I know what happens when crime happens in Terrell schools. That they do try real hard to make it go away. I had an iPod stolen, a $300 iPod back when iPods were new, stolen out of my back pocket by a boy who was caught red-handed. And they dissuaded me from pressing charges. Now, the way things are in schools with zero tolerance and stuff, if somebody shoves somebody, they've committed a crime. I mean, you know, a little bit of a fight, they committed a crime. That makes it real hard for things to be dealt with in a reasonable way. So things get out of hand that they can't deal with in a reasonable way just because their choices, their hands are tied to stupidity. And that's something that comes out of Austin, and something that comes out of D.C. It's not something that is necessarily the policy and the fault of the school district governance. And, you know, let me tell you, if I was the teacher that they reported that to, that, you know, these girls shoved another girl in the bathroom, and, you know, and even knowing in my heart, and knowing as, you know, someone who looks at law, that is, you know, unintentional manslaughter if the girl dies. I mean, there's this whole stupid movie about it with that real sexy guy, I can't remember, you know, but yeah, he serves all this time in jail. Oh, I think it's like Con Air. He serves all this time in jail because he, you know, shoved someone in the bar fight, and they you know, and the guy died and he spent time in jail. I mean, nobody wants to sentence some children who pushed another child to, serious bad legal problems. I mean, how many lives do we have to lose in one incident? So, I mean, on the one hand, I'm on the side of the school district that just says, hey, you know what, let's not talk about this. Hey, let's, if we talk about this, I know that would have students in my class who would bully another student, and I would try to take care of it inside the classroom. I would take care of it right then and there between the children. And I know I had students who might behave in a way that would cause an overreaction. I have a specific student in mind who behaved in a way that was sexually inappropriate homosexually at school, and I didn't want to take that to the administration. They would, I don't know, put this kid in deprogramming, and that was, I mean, these are hard situations. When we work with children, we work with them through a lot of prayer, through a lot of discernment, through trying to do our best for children and to not hurt any children. Nobody's trying to hurt a little girl that gets shoved by also trying to not hurt the little girls who do the shoving. There's a lot going on here. And I do think we do need to talk about healing in our schools, in Terrell, in this particular culture in Terrell of just, making the numbers, passing the tests, abiding the laws. In Terrell, we used to lead. In Terrell, we had the state education agency, leaders from Terrell. We had the governors from Terrell. Terrell used to lead. And now all it does is comply. And I do think some of it's about racism. I think there's a lot of bitterness left over from integration. Lots of bitterness, We integrated kind of late and only, and it was like, well, if we have to comply, then what we'll have is just compliance, and we won't be great anymore. You stole our greatness by forcing us to do something we didn't want to do so much. Both the black school and the white school, I mean, it wasn't, sometimes the story is made out to be like, oh, the black kids were so poor and they just wanted into the white school and we had to let them into the white school, or, I mean, they lost a lot by having to integrate as well, if both sides could realize that. I mean, how many homecoming kings are there in a school? Just one. So if you have one school, there's one homecoming queen. If you have two schools, there's two homecoming kings. Somebody didn't get to be homecoming king because of integration. Real recently, somebody didn't get to be president because black people are equal to them. I mean, this stuff is big. This stuff is real, I mean, think it out, guys. I mean, don't be afraid to try to start working on this problem. It's real scary that you might try to start work on the problem and then do it wrong. I think if we were waiting for it to be the right time, it's the right time.